My parents blamed 9/11 for the reason that I had to go to fat camp.
We fantasize about food all the time, and like you're telling me about low carb pasta, give me the ick.
This kid comes off the bus. My name's Sushi because this kid has a lot of rolls.
I was Michael Corleone. I was like, get me out of this.
Charged for Twizzler. A lot. And they had 3 bug juice pitchers filled with ketchup, mayo, hot sauce. So I'm like, fuck, we got caught. And you look great, by the way. We're not gonna make you get on the scale.
Thank you.
I'm Kenny the cameraman. My eye. Because we are cool and we are kids. Is that on? Take that. Bye.
Camp Control to Bunk 1. Chippy and Sushi are back on the air.
Talking about fat camp.
Fat camp.
Fat camp. Fat camp economy. Snacks were the currency.
Used to call and order pizza. I'll charge each slice. $15 a slice. Like $150.
AJ Oberlender.
What's up?
There's also a tragedy in your life where you ended up at fat camp.
Total devastation.
Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you for having me. You guys hear the new video game that's coming out? Call of Duty, Buffet Warfare.
Welcome to the first episode of the Fat Camp Files podcast. My name is Max Sushi Truen, and I'm your host, along with my co-host and best camp friend, Jason Chippy Schwartz. Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
And we have a wonderful guest today, AJ Oberlender.
What's up?
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's nice to see you. It's been a couple years.
It's been like 2 months for you and me, but it's been a couple of years with you.
It's been like, I don't know, 6, 8. Probably not.
No, yeah, because it was 2013 was when we were all in camp together.
No, he wasn't in camp. That was my last year at camp.
That was your last year. Was that the year that we went that you guys came down here though? Afterwards?
I think
or
so.
was that 2011? Or was that 2011?
That was probably 2011.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So I probably haven't seen you since camp in 2013 then.
I mean, from living
That's
down here, the
crazy.
last time I saw you, you were like fuddling wires and playing Tony's theme song.
Screw you. The last time I saw you was a kid's birthday party. Let's be honest. We have friends in common now.
Yes, we do. We're adults
and we're
now.
and we both have kids.
Exactly,
which
that's
is
crazy.
scary. Nah, I'm
So,
not cool with that.
So we've seen each other, we've socialized, but how's life been since camp?
Amazing.
And I guess the one question we're all thinking is like, we all went to fat camp. What is your fat camp chair breaking story?
So I have many of them, but I would say the best one probably was more recently. I work for a tech company now.
Doesn't
And
surprise us.
it's tech, not audio video lighting anymore. But we use the Herman, like those Herman chairs, like those really expensive
Right.
fucking chairs. And I would sit down on them and they bounce. Like they have like suspension.
It's like a hydraulic.
Yeah, kind of. Like it's something like that. And every time I'd sit, I would be freaked out because I was up to 340 again. And
Sounds like it's not that strong of a hydraulic.
no, it didn't feel like it was. And then all of a sudden one day it just cracked and I fell backwards.
Were you in front of people?
I think there was one other person in the room and
But like you didn't break any like drywall or concrete, right?
no.
Okay,
I was in the
okay.
middle of a room. Like it like just backwards.
But you didn't break a bone or
I
anything.
think we still have the chair in the office. Like
Oh,
it's like
it's still
like
functional?
the side.
that poor
No,
chair.
it's not fucking functional. What are you talking about?
Was it plastic or was it metal?
A little bit of both, but it's like super expensive. They're like $700 chairs.
Okay.
Like it just a screw just and a knob just like.
and I
Do-
guess
do-
I guess the
do you
question.
think, do you think it was the screw or do you think?
oh,
there
it was fully me. Okay,
I just had a
it was
question.
340 pounds dropping onto it every day for like
For
7 months.
$700 it should.
I guess the
It
question
should.
is like you go to
It
the
lasted
office.
7 months.
But I guess the real question is, right? You go to the office, you pass the chair. Like, do you like have remorse or like do you like feel bad about this chair that you see every day? Like, do you feel bad for the chair?
So I bought the chair lunch one time and I told it, I'm sorry. It forgave me. We're
It's
good
like if you
now.
sleep with someone, right? You have to buy them breakfast after. Like you bought them lunch, so that's fair.
Yeah. Who buys breakfast for somebody they slept with? I'm married.
Those days are done, right?
I'm lucky if we even acknowledge each other afterwards.
So what'd you eat today?
What did I eat today? I had tacos.
I
What'd
had
you eat today?
just bear chicken and what's it called? Carb Pasta.
You know what I did?
What is that?
Yo, it's this amazing low carb pasta. I know,
All right,
like it's
you
super
lost me.
weird.
You
No,
lost
no,
me.
no. It tastes like real. I swear to God, it's not like that Bonza shit.
Yeah.
Like it is. They do like the science thing. Pull out your computer. No, you can't do it right now.
You know what's so funny
You have to
about,
go to their
about fat
website.
campers and former fat campers? We always like we fantasize about food all the time, and like you're talking about low carb pasta, like you just like turned me off so much. Like you gave me the ick.
You know what? I'm going to make you dinner one of these nights. I'm going to tell you that
You know
it's
what the
real
ick
pasta.
is? You're old,
Yes,
so
I
you know what that is?
Fuck
You gave me the ick.
You look like a low-fat cottage cheese guy.
You do.
I don't like cottage cheese.
Well, I didn't even say you have to like it. I just said you look like one.
I guess. I don't know.
Did you know that there's a law in Tampa, Mary, you can look it up.
She's
we
a
have
lawyer.
we have our attorney on site. That on Sundays, it is illegal to eat cottage cheese after 6 p.m.
I used to have a book of weird laws in Florida because they could write a book about that, and there was one about like you couldn't take your alligator for a walk in Tampa
That sounds strange.
after 2 p.m. on a Saturday or Sunday.
Speaking of strange laws, this kind of like brings me back to
Yes,
fat
I do.
camp and talking about like the weird rules that went on during camp field trips. And I think we went on some really cool camp field trips.
So I think a lot of those rules were because of me in 1996, actually.
Wow. So let's hear about that.
So we went on the
This was at
Broadway.
Takeo Post, or
This was Takeo Post 96. So
Okay.
to paint a picture, a lot of the campers were from the north, but like there was a nice contingency of us from the south. I say the south,
Bunch of
I
y'all?
really mean Miami, not like the south.
the Deep South.
Yeah, no, none of that.
The
stuff.
Deep South.
It was more like Jewy South. And so they would take us to Broadway because we didn't get to go to Broadway shows.
You went to Broward, not Broadway.
Right, basically. I grew up in Broward. And so they took us to a Broadway show, and I don't know what went over me. I hated camp I hated going to sleepaway camp. I had not really left my family. Sleeping elsewhere was just foreign to me. And it was the first week that I was in camp. Like it just so happened that the Broadway trip was that first week I was in camp. And my mom was staying at the Marriott Marquis. And we go to this Broadway show. I don't know where I am. I see the Marriott Marquis sign. I find out years later that there's other Marriott Marquis. Like it's not just the one in Times Square or wherever that is. So we're on the trip. I bend down, and I guess they like kept walking without me. And I have that moment where I'm like,
So you
and
got
then I was
lost
like,
in New York City, like
yeah.
Kevin McAllister.
completely. But like I chose, like I didn't get lost because like I saw them. I could have caught up to them, but I chose not to. And so I ended up walking across the street to the Marriott Marquis. They called my mom. My mom got me from her room. Then the person who was overseeing the trip, who then became like the second in command at camp, she called my mom freaking out, like, we've lost your child. My mom goes, he's sitting here next to me. And they came, they got me. My mom gave me one of those little tubes of mini M&Ms to take with me. They were brand new back then, so it was like the coolest thing in the world. And I went back to camp, called crying every day. But yeah, I think that moment predicated a lot of rules that got implemented years later.
That's a great story. You know, it brings me back to like something me and Jason and Chippy were talking about a couple weeks ago. Is like your parents spent all this money to send you to fat camp, and your mom, you know, is guilty as charged here. She gave you M&Ms. Like my mom would
Love
send
that woman.
letters.
She's a saint. Never
Right.
say anything bad.
And my mom would send letters and put airheads in it. And
A saint.
a
like I
saint
said.
also. I agree.
The moms are the most important people in the world. My dad sent me to fat camp, not my mom.
Okay, so I see where the
I love
relationship
my
lies.
dad. He's my best friend, but still, my dad sent me, not my mom.
Yeah, I was just a fat kid. I got sent. I have two
You
skinny
just got
brothers.
sent by
Can
him.
we-
Yeah.
Since we're on this topic right now, have you ever thought about like how'd you end up at fat camp?
All the time.
My parents found out about fat camp from my cousin.
And Chippy, you?
So For me, I was so young, and it was.
How old were you?
I was 8 years old, and
Oh shit.
you know, my mother was just like, "Your sisters are going to fat camp. You want to go?" And I'm like, "Sure," but I was really thinking about this. It was really just like, how did you even end up at fat camp? And it was that easy. But then I started thinking about this. When did I realize that I was fat?
So do you look back at those pictures from when you were 8 and say that kid wasn't really fat? Like,
No, I was obese.
okay, because I look back at pictures of me at that age, at like 10 years old. I'm like, I was a little overweight, but
Oh,
like,
I was fat.
Let
No,
me
I
tell you
wasn't.
something. I realized that I was fat.
I was like the skinniest kid in camp.
and I understand we're going to fat camp, but my earliest memory was right before my grandfather passed away. He was near his deathbed, and he says to me, he's like, "Jason, before I die, just promise me one thing." I said, "What's that?" He says, "Please tell me you're gonna lose the weight."
I have a similar
And that's
story,
my
actually.
and that's my.
I put the mic down because I didn't want to laugh into the mic because God, I saw
and
that
that's
coming.
my last memory of him. That's my
You know what?
last memory of my grandpa, and my earliest memory of when I realized I was fat.
So I have a similar story about my grandfather.
That's
Also,
a villain origin story.
also on
though.
his
I just want to be
deathbed.
clear.
This is a great reference. Also, I was a little bit older. I was almost 20, and I was dating Meredith at the time, and we went to go see my grandfather in the hospital, and he could barely breathe. He's on oxygen, and he looks at me and he looks at Meredith, and goes, "You look great." He can't even breathe. Then he looks at me and goes, he looks at her and goes, "What about him?" Like, it's just like, I think it's like every family, right? Like
Every Jewish family. Yeah.
every Jewish family. My grandma would say she was mean to me when I was fat, and then I lost a couple pounds. She goes, "You look great. How are you?"
Bro,
God, I feel like that's like the Long Island
Do you
Jew,
know-
though.
my mother like gaslit me when I was. Let me say this a little bit better. Jewish mothers, they send you to fat camp. They, and they, because you're like, you got fat, and I didn't just get fat. You're the one that fed me. So one time I'm at the doctor, and this is when I'm super young, and the doctor says to my mother, he's a little like, they're doing this thing where like they're talking about
With
me,
the
but, like,
dots?
they're talking about me, but I'm not there. The doctor.
The chart with the dots.
No,
like
with the doctor.
where you are, where you should be.
So the doctor says to my mother, like, he's a little overweight, like he's got to lose some weight, and my mother just starts going, "Well, I don't know, like all the time he just wants to eat, just keeps asking for food all the time," and I'm sitting there like this, like I'm right here, and I'm looking at you guys. Meanwhile, it doesn't matter. My word doesn't matter. I'm like 10 years old at the time, and that's
Did you
I
have skinny relatives though? Like, were either of your siblings? You said you had 2 sisters.
No, they both went to fat camp. They were fat.
Yeah, but we had lots of people who went to fat camp who were not fat.
While we're on this topic, I didn't really. My parents just told me I was going to fat camp, but my wife has an amazing story of how she like ended up at fat camp, and she's actually here in the studio here with us tonight. I think we should invite her in and have her tell her story of how she ended up at fat
he's
camp.
stuttering over that because he's afraid of her.
Yeah,
guys.
I'm afraid of her.
No, this is
a good opportunity.
This is your
Come on.
tease.
Come on,
You can
Come right here.
Everyone, give it
My
up
mic.
for
Meredith.
Liber.
Yeah. And welcome to the show, Meredith.
Thanks for having me. Between you guys again.
Wow.
So my parents actually my parents blamed 9/11 for the reason that I had to go to fat camp. The year before I had gone to a regular camp, like, no restrictions on food, just regular old sleepaway camp. 9/11 happens, and my parents say, "We don't want you that far away." It was like a 7 or 8 hour drive, like upstate New York. There really was no other way to get there. So they said because of 9/11, they wanted me closer, and the alternative was fat camp.
Wow.
After having such a tragedy in our nation, there's also it's kind of funny. There's also a tragedy in your life where you ended up at fat camp.
Total devastation.
Yeah.
I don't think we can put that.
No, we can. Why not?
It fits perfectly.
It does. Thank you for that.
Although, was it
great
a
anecdote.
tragedy? She met
And
you.
Meredith Liber, everybody.
Woo!
It's actually Meredith Truen now.
So
It just got uncomfortable.
speaking of being married, both of you are married,
Yes, we are.
Yes.
and both of you are married to your camp loves
Most days.
Ish.
ish.
So my story is a little bit different than yours. Do we want to do you first and then me?
Let's start with you. You're the guest.
Okay, fine. I'll go first. So my wife and I met well before camp ever existed for her. Our families grew up together, but we didn't know each other.
So you're like cousins.
Feels like in the Jewish community.
Or Alabama.
Yeah, seriously. And so we were set up at a wedding by my cousin who was friends with her. And I had just come back from 2011.
Camp.
No, sorry. It was before 2011. I had gone 2008 camp. That's when I lost like a ton of weight. I kept losing weight. I was like starving myself, working out. We can talk about that part later. But I was in pretty good shape. And 2010 comes around. They introduced me to her. We dated for like a minute, long distance. Didn't work out. I broke up with her via text message. It was amazing. And we stayed friends. 2011, I would stay at her parents' house on my days off. Other than like the couple of times that we all hung out. And 2013 was coming around and we had just graduated college and she was like, I really want to lose weight. And I'm like, it works. It works in the moment, I should say.
Yeah, it doesn't ever sound like a good idea to bring someone to fat camp.
Yeah, like we were friends.
That could like break the relationship.
Right, so we're just friends at this point. I'm not even sure we were really friends. She had deleted me on Facebook multiple times.
So we're like acquaintances.
Yeah, she hated me and I...
So you're like, all right, I don't really like you, so why don't you come to fat camp with me?
That's how she took it originally.
Yeah, I was like, you're fat, I'm fat, we hate each
Let's
other.
just do it.
Maybe we should just like go to this land in the Poconos and maybe we'll fall in love.
And so, maybe we'll fall in love. I had no interest after
like
20.
Shrek.
It does
sound like Shrek. That sounds like a great story. But after 2011, I had no interest in like anything.
I think there's something in the air in Readers, Pennsylvania, because like people who are not attracted to each other like kind of like are become attracted. It might be the water, it might be the air supply. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Might be the food.
The lack of food, maybe.
It could be.
But she comes to camp, and that's when we like got together. Yeah.
Do you remember where or like how?
She tells the story way better than I do, but I'll try and give it, and then maybe we'll have her.
Our
on
wives
another
always
time.
tell the story better than us.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
So I'm very relaxed and I don't push and stuff. And so when we dated the first time, my sister told her at like this wedding that we went to, he's never gonna kiss you. You have to kiss him first. And so she kissed me when we were out on a date, and like that was it. When we went to camp, I had no interest in like being with anybody.
It always starts out like that.
Well, no.
Every summer starts out like that.
2011 was not it was fun but not fun. I feel eyes daggering at me.
I think we'll get into that later.
We will. But after 2011 and all the stuff that happened that summer, I was just like, I wanted to just lose weight and not think about anything else. And so I was like, come, whatever. I was doing, the owner had me doing audio video lighting. And
That's your background, right?
no, it's not.
Oh.
He's an Apple genius.
I wasn't that either. Thank you very much. My background is I have a bachelor's degree in political science, and I've worked in many different careers. But he had me doing audio video lighting because I knew how to plug in wires, basically.
That sounds easy enough.
Yeah, I guess.
Like it's like
until
how many,
you're yelled at during an event.
how many fat kids does it take to plug in a plug?
I don't know. It took me forever setting up this podcast.
I was gonna say, in fairness, there's 3 of us here, and it
I
struggled.
could have used your Apple genius skills.
I was enjoying watching the show.
Thanks for watching.
And so I was setting up for one of the Friday night events, I think, Saturday night events. Oh, fuck if I remember what event. And there was that room under the
rec hall?
Yeah, so the room under the rec hall. And so I said, hey, I need to get something from downstairs. Do you want to come help me? And we go downstairs and I'm like, would you be pissed if I kissed you? And she was like, no. And so I kissed her. and and then it like just went from there. And then I think
It's like a fat camp fairy tale.
yeah. So that was the year also that the Heat went to the finals, and so we were on different ODs, and we would like during pre-camp we were on different ODs, and so we would meet up with each other. And I said, "No, I'm not coming out. I'm watching the Heat game." And she goes, "Wow, that's messed up." I go, "I'm a really good boyfriend when the Heat aren't playing." And she goes, "You're not my boyfriend." I go, "Are you going to make me ask?" And she, in fairness to her, she should have told me to go fuck myself at that point. But she says that was the thing that made her decide to like stick it out. And then yeah, what is it? 2013. So 12 years later,
Wow.
we're still together.
2013 was 12 years later. That's crazy.
Right?
It is.
Can we have like a animation that goes 12 years?
Here we can have a sound.
Wow. Love that.
So yeah, that's my story. Would you like to share your story?
Sure,
now?
yeah. I'll share my fat camp love story. I think my story is a little bit different, but also similar at the same time. You know, I started going to camp in 2003. I had a camp counselor. His name was Matt Liber. He'll be featured on a later episode. Matt and I were walking around camp one afternoon. It was a beautiful summer day in the Poconos, and we were walking towards the center of camp, Center Hill. And he says, "Max, what girl do you like?" And I said, "There's a really pretty girl right over there. She's really, really pretty." And he says, "Max, it's my sister." So I'm a little confused. Like all I see is my sister. So the joke I always say is like, after I wiped the blood from my head, the concussion healed. You know, me and Meredith really started our relationship being friends first. You know, my dad always says this, makes Meredith cringe, but we were friends before we were lovers, right, Meredith? She always loves that. But, you know, Meredith played a little hard to get, you know, really made me work for the relationship.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. She made me work for it. You know, she turned me down a couple of times. I'm also almost 4 years younger. So I think there's a big age difference. Sometimes, you know, it wasn't really kosher to be dating when you're 12 and 15. I don't know what the laws are on the Poconos, but
There's laws in the Poconos. I
guess-
had no
I guess there
idea
are.
about that.
yeah, the Poconos is a very special place. And Meredith and I, you know, had dated on and off, you know, for many years through college. And then after college, you know, we were both on different parts of the country. She was in Arizona. I was in Miami. And we got back together. Meredith moved to Florida for law school in Orlando. And, you know, eventually moved down here. And we've been together for almost like 15 years, almost 20 years. Been together. It's been such a long time. And
Aren't you like 21?
I wish. 2 kids, 2 amazing kids, and a great life we built together. And it's all thanks to camp. Thank you. And you know what I do?
You know, you probably, you know, look at me just like,
Yeah,
what's going
what's-
through this guy's head? I just had all these these memories of just, I was there side by side watching this whole thing, you know, sprout, you know, plant the seed.
You were really
sprout.
there.
Now you have 2 kids.
I mean, you're
And it's just great. It's just so funny when just to think back, and that's all I was doing. I was just going
Like
through
the
memory lane.
cutaway scenes, I'm sure for you are like the best parts.
well, I guess for you, like camp relationship. I think Chippy and I are the longest camp relationship he's ever had. You know.
Oh,
But
okay.
I think that's-
romantically.
I think that's
pretty
the
much.
longest relationship he's ever had,
Yeah.
other than family.
Exactly. You know, Chippy and I met in 2003, and I always forget
Holy
like, how did we meet? Because we weren't in the same bunk.
How did we meet? Well, it's such a blurry memory. All I remember is
Is
I
that
was
because
at
of the
camp
haze of weed?
for the what?
The haze of weed, or is it just blurry because
So
it's a long
surprisingly enough,
time?
you know, I barely smoke anymore.
That's surprising.
I want to talk about that later.
So, I was at camp a year before you, so I was already pretty established, and I was already chippy, you know, and I was doing fine on my own, honestly.
I mean, you were
And
thriving when I met you.
Yeah. So,
I was
all
Chippy friends with
So
that
wait,
guy.
was Chippy the cool kid and you were just a new kid and he
Yeah,
took
but
you
like
under
being
his
the
wing?
So this kid comes off the bus from Long Island and goes, "My name's Sushi," and I'm like, why is it Sushi? Because I like to eat sushi. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, I think it's because this kid has a lot of rolls.
I mean, yeah,
But-
that was the
And it
Those
started,
kind of.
it started a beautiful relationship. And, you know, there actually was a third to this that only lasted a few years.
about a
but
summer or two.
it was
Who was
this
that?
kid named Speedo.
Do you know why they call him Speedo?
I feel like I'm gonna say because he wore a Speedo,
He
but
did.
that's not.
He was in Miami.
I
Ding,
thought
ding,
that was
ding.
not gonna be the answer.
You know,
I was
it's
really
very
concerned.
interesting. If we're just talking about nicknames, how like kids were just everyone was just given a nickname, and that was your nickname for
That was your identity.
Not
Yeah,
only
you were
hold on,
just that
hold on.
person.
Not only just for camp, but now it's for
For
life.
life.
His kid calls me Uncle Chipwich.
Does Austin even know your real name?
Awesome. He doesn't know my real name. Didn't we talk about this the other day?
We
It
did.
was
We
that,
did.
What was it? Well, I mean, he'll never know. He'll never find out. I'm always
You're
gonna
just
be Uncle
Chip.
Chipwich. No, I'm Uncle Chipwich.
Oh,
Like the sandwich, Chipwich.
Yeah.
Well, not like the ice cream sandwich.
yeah. No, I understood that.
Yeah, Chippy has a.
Wait, is that where Chippy came from, or what did?
What,
Where
from-
did
you think
Chippy
it came from a
really?
Chipwich sandwich or from
No,
chips?
tell
No.
the story.
I
How did
actually-
you
How?
I
Well,
don't
this
know.
actually goes into one of my earliest memories is from my first counselor, Gregosaurus.
Great guy.
Greg Cohen. Great guy. Hi, Greg.
What summers was he there? Because that name sounds familiar,
Well,
but I don't know.
he was in the beginning, way in the beginning, and then did
He
you say
also had a
He may
nickname.
have been a camper.
No,
with
he was
me.
there day one actually. So you were there the first year.
the first year of Pocono, like at
That
Pocono
was
Valley. But I was
99?
there even before there.
Was that 99?
Yeah, 99, 2000.
That's crazy.
something
You were
that.
like the original OG.
Yeah.
And yeah, so wait, quickly going
But,
back to this, we're
yeah.
not off track. It was because
off
I
track.
had very chubby cheeks. I mean, I still do. I'm just
Okay.
covering up.
That makes
And
sense.
it's like, hey, you look like a chipmunk. So now your name is called Chipmunk. So it started Chipmunk, and then one day someone says Chippy, and then Chipperoo and Chipper. But it's become Chippy since day,
yeah, I've known
it's
you
really
as
since day one.
Chippy
And you
since
know
I
what?
met you.
There, I've heard the nickname Chippy thrown around. Not just me, like other people. Like it's not.
I feel like it's a camp nickname. I feel like if other people went to regular sleepaway camp, they have Chippy friends.
What do you think? My high school friends call me Chippy.
Yes. They don't.
Well, like it's funny. It's funny because like
I know,
you're
right?
what? You're 31,
I have
and
so many nicknames.
and like my parents and Meredith's parents like still call you Chippy. I don't even think they know your real name.
I'm totally doing your father, Craig. Hey, Chip, hey, Chip. It's like always in the most like it's just funny too because in the most serious tone. It's even when we were like 16 years old and getting caught for weed. Max, what are you doing? You and Chippy smoking weed?
None of that
Like-
ever comes out serious. That's the
Like
problem.
it's almost just like, guys. Chippy,
Growing
Chippy
up
this.
after camp, and this is always great. Chippy was a grade younger than me, and he used to always come to like my friends' high school parties and then hang out. And he would always say like, "I have so much fun with your high school friends," and I'm like, because we just grew up like very similar, but also so different, right?
Very similar, very different. Just, I mean, we were like, first of all, we were both in the same town of Huntington.
Literally, we were 10, like 15
And
minutes
you know
away
what-
from each other.
and you guys didn't know each other before.
No.
You guys lived in the same
but,
town.
No,
and
but because where we come from, like, there's the town of, but within the town of, there's multiple different towns.
Yeah.
So it's different cities within the town, I guess you'd say.
in fairness,
It's large.
I grew up literally down the street
So
from where
it's
we're
like-
sitting right
so
now.
it's like being from like,
It's like being in Miami, but
North
uh,
Miami to like Hollandale.
no, because I know people in Hallandale.
Yeah,
You're
but you don't know
talking more
everyone in
South Beach.
Hollandale.
If they're Jewish, I probably do.
I mean, it's a pretty extensive community here.
Okay, so let's talk about that because
Well,
I did ask Chippy about whether his siblings were skinny. Do you like your parents? Are they skinny?
They're pretty fit.
yeah, my mother lost like 90 pounds.
She also
She
went to
lost 90 pounds.
Yeah,
though.
she went.
wasn't-
She went to fat camp.
Oh, was she in the bunks in like Johannesville? Like,
like across the lake.
yeah.
No, like
No,
we're talking
not
about like
that.
fat
It's
camp
different
back
one.
in the
OG
day.
one.
But wait, was she like skinny when you were growing up?
Like
There's a reason I'm
average.
asking this.
like she was average. Yeah.
and you?
But your dad is skinny.
My dad's always been. He works out every single day.
Okay, so he works
Yeah.
to be skinny.
I mean, he was a
You?
food Nazi.
Yes, he was.
We couldn't- yeah,
I did
my,
not
so
see that coming.
my family is very interesting. So my grandfather was pleasantly plump. Me, I inherited his genes, the husky ones.
You were
obviously.
voluptuous.
Yes, I was.
Believe us.
But my brothers were both athletes. They went to, they played sports. They went to sports sleepaway camp up in
They were
upstate New York.
those a-holes.
Yeah, they really were, and I got tortured by them. I'm in the middle. So
Wasn't one of your brothers named Harry?
Harry and Jake,
Okay.
yeah, they both went to.
I remember
sports camp.
Harry because I felt like Harry Truen just sounded like such an asshole's name.
No,
Sorry, Harry. I don't judge based on names. Wait, I do, but I don't know you, so I'm not going to assume
he's a good
anything.
kid. He's a good kid.
Okay.
But no, both my parents or my dad's very skinny. My mom is average. Me, I've struggled with my weight my whole life. And
Okay, so I'm going to say I'll talk about mine for a minute here. My mom was skinny like her whole childhood. Then she moved to Miami. She grew up in New York, a lot of walking and everything.
She found the Cuban bread here, huh?
She met my dad, and down here you don't walk places. So like you drive.
You walk to the restaurant.
Right. Like in New York, you're walking everywhere.
Well, New York City.
So she grew up in Queens. Fair enough. She grew up in Queens. So like this was a lot of like walking. So she was skinny until she met my dad. She came down here and she gained weight. My dad has been skinny his whole life. We call him the trash compactor. He eats everything he wants. And he bitches when he has like this much fat on him. He's like, I gained 5 pounds. I'm like, you son of a bitch. I gained 100 pounds and I'm trying to get it off. You're gonna take a
You know what
poop and
though?
lose
I'd
it.
be proud of that. I gained 100 pounds when I was in college, so I felt great about that.
Wait. So
Like, it was like I was an accomplishment. Like, fuck yeah, I gained 100 pounds.
Do you want me to get you
Yeah,
another
I
trophy?
feel like we need another trophy for this. So like my dad would eat anything he wants, and my sister got his jeans. My dad
Slim jeans.
Yeah, the slim jeans. They're
Tight in the ass.
Yeah, and so my dad and my sister were like that. My grandfather on my mom's side was like you mentioned. He was
Pleasantly plump.
Yeah, and I got his jeans. They
Husky.
say I look like him. Yeah, but they traditional.
Comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable.
I think that's all
give
that
a nice
matters, right?
hug.
Yeah,
That's
comfortable
what
is
I get,
good.
Yeah. And so my dad would get like Oreos and whole milk and like
Double stuffed?
back then double stuff didn't exist. Again, I'm older than you. Thank you.
Yes, you are.
And so he would get all
You
this
like a double stuffed Oreo?
I love double stuffed Oreos.
I didn't ask you. You like a double stuffed Oreo?
I love fried Oreos. So.
Oh, me too. So good.
Yo, okay, wait.
They make us stuff now.
By the way, we're gonna go back to that because I want to talk about the carnival that would come to camp.
Oh, that's the best.
But let me finish this story. So my dad would get all this candy and shit, and he always had a problem with me being overweight. And
Like he was angry about it?
like not
Because my parents
angry.
were
No,
my parents
dad
were
wasn't
upset.
angry. He was like almost like he was disappointed. It felt like and so like I would always wonder like then why are you bringing like he would take me to McDonald's after shul. We'd go to shul on a Saturday morning. We on our way home. There's a McDonald's here on Miami Gardens. It's been here since who knows.
Still
how long.
there.
It's still there.
I
Right.
was there last week.
Right. We would go do drive-through, pick up food for lunch, and go home.
Sounds kosher.
Super kosher. In fairness, I'm kosher style. I would have a chicken nuggies.
But
But
you still
yeah,
like those. So
I still do. I still do. But you know, as I got older, I'm like, you're part of the reason I'm fat. Like, why are you getting on me about this shit?
I think most of our parents are really the reason. Like Chippy had mentioned a story earlier where his mom kind of threw him under the bus. But
Yeah.
but I always say like, I blame the parents. I really do. And a parent now myself, I when my son, eats something and I notice him gaining a couple pounds, I can't get mad at him. I get mad at myself. I'm like, well, why did I say to eat that? Or why did I say to do that?
But kids,
You're a
don't-
parent. I
Yeah,
mean,
but kids don't come with an instruction manual. Yes, there's a lot of books out there, but like,
I don't
it's
read.
so- yeah, I didn't think you knew how to read. In all fairness, but I don't know. I find it hard. Like the doctor said that my daughter was above her like weight in her level now. She just had her 4-year-old.
The dots.
Yeah, the dots. But
love
my,
the dots.
my wife goes, okay, she's above her weight, but she's also in like the 99.99 percentile. She's like the height
Off
of
the
a seven-
charts, literally.
but she's off the charts for
Literally.
height of a 7-year-old. So like she's 3 years ahead of her height and also a few years ahead of her weight. But like, doesn't that count being taller? Like, shouldn't it count?
It should count.
So like, she doesn't look. You've met my daughter.
Of course.
Does she look like she's overweight?
No, she looks like she's gonna work at the Apple Store, just like you.
I wish she could. Shit, I need her to make some money for me. Taking her to Disney next week.
What day you going to Disney?
We're going Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Make sure to go to the All American
Oh,
Hot Dog place on Main Street. It's my favorite.
My wife moved down here. Sorry, I'm gonna go off on another tangent.
okay.
But
Tangents
my
are
wife
good.
moved down here, and we would go to Moes.
Moes
Love
is
Moes.
great.
Plug for Moes. Go to Moes.
You like the whitefish?
I'm a Nova person.
Okay.
I get an omelet. The waitress knows my order: American and cheddar cheese omelet, French fries extra crispy, Whole wheat bagel toasted.
Bro, I'll
That's
take
it.
That's like a great fat camp order.
It is an
sounds
amazing
like,
fat
It
camp
honestly
order.
sounds like a ham and eggs in the pan order.
Except I don't. You're right. I never did ham.
Well, you've been to ham and
Yes,
eggs
I
in the
did.
pan.
Once, I think, with you.
Now, for
Wait.
our viewers out there, ham and eggs in the pan is an amazing breakfast place. Everything in the Poconos, everything is served in a large skillet, potatoes, butter. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Great way
Heart
to start
attack waiting to
Great
happen.
way to start a day off in the Poconos.
Yeah, if you want to have a heart attack.
Yeah, but the food's so good. I mean, the rye toast extra butter.
I remember having it. I went once with you guys. I think it was with you guys. May have been with Jay.
They also had a large pig, an iron pig outside, and I don't know if that was a reference to like the fat campers coming in, or if it was like just because of the ham that they served there. They're like, oh, the fat kids are back. Well, you know what's really
They
funny?
only brought it out during the summer.
Exactly.
For us.
You know what's really funny about ham and eggs in the pan, and I love telling this, is that the chef or the cook at our camp during the off season was the cook at ham and eggs in the pan. So
no
it's like,
way.
yeah. So Roland, the cook, he was an amazing guy. But in the off season, he was also a bodybuilder. In the off season, he would cook at this great breakfast place. But in the summer season, he would cook small portions of egg whites and turkey bacon. So it's kind of full circle.
Yeah. So we would go to Moes, and she was always shocked by how many people I knew, because I was always like saying hi to people.
Well,
and
it's
she would ask me
because you worked at the Apple Store. Everyone knew you from the Apple Store.
at the time. It was that and Hillel, but
Right.
like she
And
would,
then later on Fat Camp.
and later on,
I thought it
obviously
was
fat
just
camp.
because you went there to go eat that they just knew you.
Well, there's also a big Fat Camp community in South Florida.
Is there?
Aventura.
I never
specifically.
kept in touch with it. You're it. Like I
from
hung
New
out
York.
with I hung out with Chippy and you a few times after camp, but you're like the only person. I think you and Meredith are the only people I actually have talked to consistently.
Yeah,
Sobel. I talk to Sobel from
she's
time to
great.
time.
And I'll say one thing about my wife. She's so great. She's so great at keeping relationships alive. I'm like not really that good. I'm good in the
she
moment.
has tried cutting me out for 10 years.
Yeah,
What are you talking
She's also
about?
trying for 20 with me, but
I
it
know.
hasn't worked. On the topic of that, I think it's so great. Meredith, you're one of the reasons that like led me back to Meredith. It's so fun. I think you guys had a little bit of a camp thing. Is that right?
It was literally flash in the pan. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 weeks.
You had that great,
if that.
you had that great Mustang with red interior.
Hell yeah, Sandy.
You're
called
like
her.
Kaneki from Greece with that red interior.
Yeah, I had that thing. I drove that into the ground.
Sally, if I'm not mistaken.
Sandy.
Right? Sandy.
All American Girl from Greece.
Yeah.
Actually, the
Yeah.
the stage play though. She
Not-
was the
not
All American Girl.
Not the Broadway adapted one.
No, the stage version, the
Right.
Broadway version was Sandy was the All American Girl.
Right.
Whereas in the movie, she's Australian. I don't know why
She
I'm
is
going off on
Australian.
this
She is.
side.
But it's so funny that you bring that up, because I don't know if you know, Meredith and I like really started our relationship during the camp play, and that summer the camp play was Greece.
No way.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember
And,
that.
and I think Chippy has some footage of that somewhere.
You know what?
Oh my
Let's
God, can
Let-
we
let's
please?
pull it out.
Let's
Let's pull it out.
Let's dig into the files.
Yeah, let's dig into the files. Is this a Max episode?
It seems like it is.
Oh God,
Max and Meredith
God, it's
episode.
gonna be a Meg episode.
No, there are other people that
Stick
are
around,
the Meg
folks.
episodes.
So everyone understands. I brought my camcorder to camp for 1 year, and I just went around and went to go film. And of course, it ended up being all about Max. So they're talking, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 years ago, whatever. And I had put this video on Facebook, and it's been living there since then. And I knew someday we need to
Resurface.
resurface.
Let's take a look.
This was produced by me, Jason Schwartz, Raw Fish Productions.
Who's the director? No, I'm kidding.
It's not recording.
Wait, is that you, Sush?
Yeah, that's me. I was angry about
It's not
something.
recording.
Yeah, it's the angry side.
There's Meredith.
That arm is that Meredith? The arm?
That's the arm. But I give Chippy credit for bringing a camcorder at the age of 12.
I did that at school. It was interesting.
It's not on.
Voice. You got kicked out.
Oh, the dirty side. You guys will see later. But not,
Ooh,
but not
I'm
now.
excited.
That's for another. That's for another.
You got a
time.
lot of stuff in the archives there, Chip.
I'm just so happy that I never deleted it. and it's been there forever.
We almost got that camera taken away. If you don't remember,
I did get taken away, and
But
then
we got it back.
And then my father called the camp and said, "What's going on? You can't be doing this," and act all attorney. And guess what? I got it back.
Thank God. I remember the day they brought the camera back. They knocked on the bunk door. She had a box full of stuff, chargers. You guys must have like 30 chargers. Do you remember that?
Yeah, a lot.
And it was like a victory. We got the camera back.
Were you just like best friends with Max, or did you? He was older than you. Like, did you look up to him a little bit? Was he your AJ?
No, we were just two peas in a pod.
Got He was your muse, or did you just like see something in him that you were like, I need to just keep the camera stationed on this dude. He's gonna be a star.
It was kind of like a it was like an Animal Planet documentary, sort of say. You know, you see an animal in the wild, and you don't never know what they're gonna do, and it's very sporadic. And I just thought, and just for my own, I don't know, my own personal film career that I was building for myself and being a storyteller. I thought he was
at 12.
At 12 years,
you were Steven Spielberg with a Super 8 at 12 years old. Like you were like already.
Apparently, he's Steven Spielberg.
Max told me one time.
Probably something really fucked up like that.
Yeah, well, it was. He says, "You're never gonna make it in this world."
I said.
Do you have that
quote,
video?
And I quote, "You're never gonna make it in this industry."
Never make it in this.
How do you think your life changed from going to fat camp? And you went to multiple fat camps, right?
Yeah, I went to the same fat camp in multiple locations.
Okay, can you explain a little bit?
Multiple zip codes.
Well, can you explain in detail to our
yeah,
viewers?
So the owner of the camp, he owned a camp that was on a college campus in the 90s. Actually 80s and 90s, because I found out that a cousin of mine also went to the camp.
It was on a college campus?
When it was on a college campus. It was
Takeo
Takeo Post was a college.
I thought they were going to just put an R in it called frat camp.
That would have been amazing, though.
Are there weight issues running in your family?
Not as much as you would think after I just said that, but this is like a third cousin.
Okay.
And I think that was how my parents found out about the camp, because she went there when it was in Takeo Post years earlier.
And how old were you when you first went to fat camp?
I want to say 10. I believe it was 1996, which you can probably extrapolate how old I am based on all those. But I think I was 10.
And was it similar to, modern day?
No. So we were in dorms.
With air conditioning?
Yeah. Ish. I think it was box air conditioner.
Okay. Well, that's better than what we had at fat camp, right?
No, I think it was box fans also. I think he turned off the air conditioners, in fairness.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Modern luxuries kind of go out the window.
Burn us to the ground in there. We still had calisthenics. We had like a smaller hill. I remember that the guy who ran calisthenics was a former Dallas Cowboy.
Oh, wow.
And he used to yell at us and say, "The strong survive and the weak fall by the wayside." For some reason, that has stuck with me for 20 some odd years at this point, 28 years. That phrase. And so I like it. It actually, if he ever sees this, I hope he reaches out, because I can't remember his name anymore.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you if you're out there.
And he was like, when I say he yelled at us, like he did it out of love. Like I felt he cared about us. And I'm not talking about the owner. I'm talking about the guy who ran Cal's.
It sounds like there was passion behind him.
There was a lot of passion. Typical day was waking up at a time that felt ungodly to me now. Although I don't remember.
I think it was 7:45 wake up, 8:15 flagpole.
Okay, so
Does that sound about right?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I have 2 kids. Maybe it's not ungodly anymore. Shit.
Yeah.
So we would wake up and we would go to flagpole, and then I think it was breakfast was next.
Yep.
And then on a full stomach, we would then go run around outside in the heat of Pennsylvania weather, or in my case, before that, Connecticut weather. Which
similar climates.
Yeah, which in fairness, you would think you're up farther north that it would be cooler. It was just cooler at night. It was just as hot as Miami.
The Pocono air at night is so unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. And you can see the sky. But we'll talk about that another time later. But so we did calisthenics. We came back. I think we went straight from calisthenics to like second period. It wasn't like we had a break to shower.
I think
or
it was a
anything.
sport of some sort.
Yeah.
It was either or. You would start the day off first period doing an activity,
Yes.
or other alternate days. The next day you would do calisthenics.
You know what was the worst?
I can break this whole day down for you. I remember this.
Do you know what
Let's see.
the? Do you know what
Please,
the?
I beg
So-
of you.
Right, but you know what the
My
worst?
memory's fuzzy.
You know what the worst combination was? The ropes course and then going to Cal's on the opposite end of camp. Like that's
Let me ask you, what was your favorite time of the day?
recreational swim.
Well, wait. Are we
Really?
talking about when I was a camper or a
Well,
counselor?
no, as a camper, what was your favorite time of the day? Your
Recreational
favorite place?
swim in between lunch
Interesting.
and
Really?
and swim.
Because I would have said lunch.
Yeah. Seriously. And when we had pita pizza, fuck man.
You know, I like to just bring this up because there was this
It was a
when
break.
you knew it's like when there was that intermission between doing all the activity, calisthenics, and you know you had that 45-minute break where you get back to your bunk and you'd be all sweaty, laying on the bed. Most people in the shower, I didn't shower, getting ready for lunch, and then you hear on the intercom, "It is time for lunch. All campers, counselors, group leaders, make your way to the dining halls. It's time for lunch." And
Especially
then,
when you knew
and
what lunch
then-
was ahead of time.
and then let's just paint the picture for everyone. So they would have everyone wait outside the dining hall, and on their
Why?
mark.
Wait. Why did they make
Well,
us
so
wait?
I never really understood that. I think it was just like patience.
was it crowd control?
I know.
No,
I
I
think it was a
actually-
food
that was a-
control thing.
That was a
and, like,
legit question. I actually don't know. I was a counselor and I still don't know why they made us wait. It made no
So-
sense to me.
So then it's just bringing me through memory lane right now. So then hold on. So then all of a sudden which I don't know why, but then all of a sudden they would say, "Okay, everyone get in." So for us to then go to our tables to have to sit down and wait for our group to get called to go get food, line up and go get food.
We waited a lot.
Then
A lot of waiting.
it's like Disney
kids-
without the reward,
kids-
right?
and then-
Without the ride.
and then
At least
they
Disney has games now. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
and then they would call the groups up. I think it was really at random, and whoever the counselor was doing it was
I did do the calling at one point,
Meredith
and it
said it
was,
was a
fully
schedule.
random. Bullshit.
yeah, I agree.
Maybe on girls' side.
I agree. I think it was
Boys'
a
side,
scam.
it was all made up. It was whatever mood I was in, and usually I couldn't call my cabin first multiple times. So it was like, okay, I'm going to call that one first, and
then your
maybe I'll
cabin.
call that one, and then my cabin. But my cabin would go up anyway because who the fuck cared?
and then kids would kid around. They would be like, "Enter cadets," and then you have kids on their chair like. And I swear, when I say this was like the run of the bulls, these kids, once their group was called, will get up and sprint to get to the front of the line to go get their food.
But then, like the
Pamplona
counselor
has nothing
Now,
on Fat Camp.
I do want to say this, Max, you were, I would say, you were one of the first placers. You know,
Well, he,
I was a
he
sprinter.
conserved his energy during Cal's
so
and
I do have
everything
something
else.
for you that I do want to
I think it was a
present to you.
short-term runner,
Short-term runner.
a gift. I like gifts.
Who doesn't like gifts?
Wow.
I feel like this is gonna
Surprises.
be great, though.
Yeah, this is great.
So because you were the first place winner in running to the front of the line to go get your food, a winner.
Oh my God.
They really did packaging there at the factory.
Deserves a trophy.
Wow.
Oh my God, this
my
is
God.
amazing.
First place, Max Sushi Truen, Fat Camp Sprint Champ, front of Food Line, CPT 2008. Here you go, bud.
Wow.
This is amazing.
This is absolutely.
Can we add
incredible.
this to
Yeah,
just
I
the
think we should.
campfire?
But you know what? I feel like I feel like I just won the Olympics.
Can you just do a little?
yeah. Hoo-yah!
Those are the best around.
Nothing's ever gonna keep you down.
Wow, this is amazing. Do you guys remember? The plastic silverware? Like, remember when you like?
You mean the silverware that you couldn't cut the steak
Yeah,
that
do you
they would
remember
give us from time to time?
Do you
on?
remember being in line and passing a plate to the person behind you? Like, it was like courtesy. You had to do it. Pass a styrofoam plate in a setting. Do you remember that?
Not really.
It was like
It was common courtesy.
it was almost like how they serve food in prison.
I was usually really lazy, so I'd be like the last person in line.
So I was first, you were last.
Yeah,
If you're not first, you're last, AJ.
yeah. That's the point. I wasn't rushing, so what did I care?
Let's talk about let's talk about the accoutrements at camp. Yeah,
The accoutrements at fat camp.
there's a lot. You know, you could eat all the salad you want, but
did you really want to eat salad?
yeah, but you know what the owner would always say? You could have all the salad you want from the salad bar, but the catch is you can only have one packet of low-fat dressing. And it was like
you had to make
ranch.
that last.
It was like ranch, French. Who has French?
there was
dressing?
honey. Wasn't there honey mustard at one point? There was one
Occasionally.
summer that they had honey mustard.
occasionally.
It was
Cisco-
honey.
it was-
honey Dijon.
It was fat-free honey mustard. No, I
It was
thought
all
it was
fat free.
Well,
it was
fair enough.
Dijon. You're right.
You're right.
No,
it
and
was
they had
Dijon.
it for a while, years.
And then they had the unlimited Jell-O bar on the side next to the mustard and
hot sauce.
and the
sauce.
balsamic.
Yo, the bowl of hot sauce.
Yeah.
I eat my baked potatoes with hot sauce to this day because of that.
Did you put mustard on it too?
No, hell no.
But you know
Do
what
I
was the
look like
most
a
amazing
lunatic?
salad dressing creation that I saw at camp? It was balsamic vinegar and mustard and oregano. The three ingredients you could put together that was unlimited. And it was horrible, but actually it was
And
not that bad of a dressing. You put
I
enough
want you to
mustard.
call somebody out and say who ate that.
I did.
Oh, okay, got
I
it.
did. It was
So I
my
just
Because
dressing.
I was like,
So-
that sounds disgusting.
so I-
You
you
should
know-
try it. It's really
I will
good.
try nothing
So
of the
here,
sort.
I really want people to have never been to fat camp to understand this, right? So we would get our daily meals and be all portioned out. And then there was like an allowance. So every time they would have like,
Ketchup. It was like 2.
so we could catch up. But one thing they've always had was always Splenda. Now you could only get 2 packets of Splenda per meal, right? And that's something where you could
They were
put-
watching. They were like
Yeah.
hawks. They were watching that
Yeah,
table.
Like the Splenda police.
Now, not every meal you would use your Splenda. Like there would be times where
it was
you know what?
lunch. You're not having a tea at
because
lunch.
there was, you could either use it for coffee, you could put it in your cereal, you get creative with it. I don't know.
Some people put it on their French toast. I mean,
But
Did
for
anybody do
people
lines
that,
of it? Like,
no.
but for people that like knew that they were gonna need it more than once for something else, but we're gonna use it at the time, they would take it and they would stash it.
And it wasn't a trade-worthy item. Like, it's not like an extra packet of something you can't have.
yo, ketchup.
And mayo.
Trading ketchup. Because I put ketchup on almost everything back then.
If I remember correctly, during Reuben Day.
Do you guys remember where everyone stashed it, by the way?
Where? I don't remember.
it was under the table, the little like lip.
Oh
wasn't
my
it?
god! Like the little
Yeah.
like the metal.
So like if
piece
you
under
didn't
the
get your
table.
seat back, you were screwed because somebody else was getting your stash.
And people were looking. They've taken
Yeah, people would like feel around in there.
I remember actually now that you mention it, being a counselor, and we got raided like from the nutrition staff. I'll never forget this. And we walk into the dining hall with my cabin, and we go to sit down, and the owner of the camp is standing on one side of the dining hall, and 2 nutritionists, and I'm like, fuck, we got caught. And they're like, we need to talk to you. And they brought me to the side of the dining hall, and they had 3 bug juice pitchers filled with ketchup, mayo, hot sauce, like everything you could think of. It was. I was like, oh my god, I am so embarrassed, but I've never seen so many accoutrements.
But weren't you like proud of your campers?
I was so
Like,
proud of them, but I couldn't say I was proud of them.
I would go back to the cabin and tell them how proud I was.
I was like, if I thought of that as a camper, I'd be MVP. Clearly,
Clearly, you were.
You're a champion.
should we talk
Cat
about?
camp, fat camp, sprint champ. I'm sorry, guys. The hybrid.
Do you remember that? While we're on the topic
Hybrid.
of dining halls, do you remember like what was the?
Why did they segregate us?
Yeah, no. But
I don't
before
really- I
that,
never understood
before that,
Drove me nuts.
The guys and the girls, they segregated to separate halls. I never understood what
we
that
had
was
barely
about.
any time
But
together.
I think before any of that, like
Don't you think hormones would like lead you to lose more weight?
Right.
Like if I was hanging out with girls more often as a camper, I probably would have worked even harder.
I mean, I think we're gonna get
I
to
worked
that.
pretty
I think
hard,
I think
but-
we're gonna get to that, but I think the main topic we really want to focus on here because it's so important. What happened when the lemonade was like nearing the end? Like who would refill?
Oh
it?
my
Do you
God.
remember how we refilled
I
the
remember.
lemonade
Yeah. So
or the water, which never got.
The campers would go get it. I'm pretty sure.
But do you remember like how they got to do it?
Yeah. So like,
what was the job?
it was
It was a
wasn't
game.
Yeah. It was like whoever
Freeze.
finished it.
Do you remember
no,
playing
you did
freeze?
freeze. I made it. Whoever finished it. So like,
Whoever killed it filled
yeah.
it.
So like, you had to get to just under 1 cup.
And then there was one summer that one of our counselors made us play as Nose Goes.
Yeah.
You lost. You got to fill
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Great game.
I'm slow.
Nose Goes. And I think Nose Goes really started on the girl side of camp because the boys played freeze. We also did kill it, fill it. And then when we were super seniors, or the last summer in camp, I remember we played a game of Mario Kart. Do you remember that? We all brought our Nintendos.
Who brought the Nintendo?
I don't remember. It was
That's
the whole bunk.
that's a whole other just topic. Is
Nintendo. at
just no,
camp.
but just the bunks and how
you
some people
brought
would
stuff.
just. This is like it becomes like an MTV Cribs. It's just. Certain bunks, people, you'd have your normal bunk, you know, your beds, your
Some
cubbies,
people
all that
had
stuff.
TVs.
Then you walk in and they got the whole stereo system. They
But those bunks were always like the legacy kids. They were the kids who had been there for like 3-4 years.
right.
And they were coming in and they knew what they could get away with. Like I would always end up like when I was a camper, I was a camper way too long before. Like
Right.
you weren't bringing a flat screen TV to the Poconos in 1999, 2000.
Right. Chippy
But-
brought a camcorder.
Right. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I brought a camcorder in 99, but I don't think I used it.
Right.
I was
But they didn't
talking
take it
to
away from
girls.
you.
No. But when I was a counselor, it was the counselors who had been there like undisturbed for multiple
Right.
years, with the campers undisturbed for multiple years, who would walk in with like this ridiculous.
Well, Chippy and
setup.
I would plan like starting in
Right.
like February. Like, what are we gonna bring?
You knew you were going. You knew what you could
and
bring.
we also knew who wasn't going. Like from the year before. Like I feel like
Interesting.
AIM or AIM was very popular in those days. Like
And what was AIM?
Go with
Can we
AIM.
for
AOL Instant Messenger.
for under 25 crew
yeah,
watching this?
AOL Instant Messenger.
And what was that?
it was a messenger.
What's AOL?
AOL? I still have an AOL email.
Me too.
I judge
what's-
people who apply for jobs
What's your
with one.
what's your
Do you?
AOL?
I still have mine.
What's your
also.
AOL email?
SushiKid27 at AOL.com.
KB Dunk 2.
Ho ho 2000.
Ho ho. Is it because you
Wow.
liked ho hos or and ding dongs?
Well, because at the time it was the Pokemon, but the Pokemon name was Ho Oh. I called it Ho, so everyone said what? Yeah, because of the Ho, the dessert, or just
I
like
think the
Ho?
best AOL email, and my wife's off camera right now, but I'm gonna say hers. It was Matza1. The best.
Yes.
How did you know that one?
Because we talked on AIM.
Oh,
When we talk about 2011, we can discuss that.
right.
At that point, it wasn't AIM. It was Messenger on our Macs.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was iMessenger.
It was before iMessenger.
He worked at Apple. If you didn't know.
He was an Apple
I'm
genius.
going
He's
to
still
kill you.
he still is an Apple genius.
I wish.
What do you
And
wearing?
an audio
what do you got on your
engineer,
wri-
honestly.
What do you got on your wrist right now?
I have an Apple Watch
He's
just
an-
like Sushi does.
He's an Apple genius. Okay.
Mine's older.
I guess like my question for you, just like being a camper and counselor, what was your favorite like local attraction in the Poconos?
Oh my God. There was a carnival that would come every so often. So when I was
It
a
was
counselor,
the week
I
after
saw-
4th of July.
Is that when it was?
That's
Okay.
when it was.
Again, we've had this conversation off camera, I think, but I'm a vibes and a feeling person. I don't remember facts very well.
Right.
And so that carnival came by when I was a counselor. I don't remember it as a camper.
Well, it was off property, so you wouldn't.
Fair point.
Yeah,
Now
you-
that I
you
think
wouldn't
of
have seen
Why
it.
would I have seen it?
You were
You're
literally
right.
in a contained environment.
I was in a.
But they had great fried Oreos.
So I think that was the first time I ever had fried Oreos. Actually, I don't think I had ever had fried Oreos before that carnival.
And it was right next to Gabelle's, the ice cream place, if you remember.
Yes.
It was like in that parking lot of the fire department.
Wasn't there like a Friendlies there?
There was also a Friendlies nearby.
Yeah, I've never been to Friendlies actually.
Oh, you missed out. The
I know.
Fribbles are fantastic.
Again, not the
But the
coolest person.
carnival was such an interesting.
It was such a lame ass.
No, I thought it was great, honestly, because you really got to see the Poco Locos.
Poco Loco.
You know what a Poco
Yeah.
for our viewers who don't know what a
July
Poco Loco
22nd.
is? It's a Pocono local. Really interesting folk. If you've never met a Pocono local, we would see them at the carnival. We would see them at the local watering hole, Pocono Brewing Company, which is no longer in existence.
PBR isn't it?
PBC.
PBC.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
PBC did close.
What?
Had
They
a-
had the best wings.
They had the best wings and the best mozzarella sticks. Like the food was really great.
The
I don't know if
food was really great.
I don't know if the food was good or we were just
They
hungry.
had great cheese fries.
They did. Were we
Okay, I
hungry
just
or-
realized that we were just fat.
I think we were just fat and hungry and like.
yeah.
But they had. I mean, we drank there underage. I did at least.
I was
It
gonna say
great.
I was an underage.
Yeah, you were overage.
Yeah.
And I remember I got my fake ID taken away, and I don't know if this is a story to tell on the podcast, but I remember Meredith was older than me, and we went to PBC,
She's always been.
and there was a book of IDs, and I remember like no joke, like a book. It was like a binder, like 4 inches thick, and I had a Texas ID. And I remember them going to the page for Texas, and there was like 10 different versions, and like mine just did not show up. It was insane, and I was embarrassed. And they took my ID away, and they told me they were going to call the owner of the camp and report me, and they never
They weren't
did. But
doing any of that.
they just scared me. It was
Chippy's alive. We're good.
yeah, it was a good story.
PBC is where I think I first like connected with Meredith.
They actually had a great Cobb salad.
weird ass fucking.
No,
food.
it was a great Cobb salad.
Like you're eating salad at camp. Why are you eating salad at
Well, it
PBC?
didn't have fried chicken.
Wings.
Yeah, it didn't have fried chicken and eggs.
Wings. I don't know, man. So like,
Should we talk about the candy place?
I don't know the candy.
American Candle.
Oh, do you know?
They-
I never actually went shopping there for candy.
I don't think
because
you just
there's a
brought it back here.
CVS down the
Yeah,
street.
but
Like,
this
I
place
didn't
was
need
amazing. They
to.
had barrels of candy, and it was American Candle, but I don't think they ever sold candles.
Wait, I have a candy story. I'm sorry. I'm gonna cut you off
Okay,
because I have
please.
an actual candy story that goes to camp. So I'm gonna paint a picture.
Please.
Takeo Post, 1996.
Wow.
Again, this is a college. It's dorms. There is a gym that we used. There was a
Like the whole fat camp would use the college gym,
like not the gym, but like there was a basketball court
like
with
the
a
gymnasium.
yeah, with like a track
upstairs.
upstairs. But we weren't allowed in the hallways because the track upstairs had a candy machine outside.
Oh my god.
So they would like shuttle us in and out. Me
Did
and
you guys have money on you? Like,
some of us did. So me and this kid, I don't remember his name, or maybe I do, and I don't want to out him. Figured out that we could get to the candy machine pretty easily.
wow.
Me being the smart person I am,
It's because you worked at Apple, right?
no, this was before Apple. I was 10 years old, maybe 11. It might have been 97 in fairness. And
Something's
so-
happening behind us.
Yeah, wow. Pictures.
Oh my goodness. That is an unbelievable
Wowie.
photo.
Wowie,
Jason, do you want to
wowie.
weigh in on this?
Haha, weigh in.
I think you should weigh in on this.
Okay, and then I'll finish my story because shit.
Wow, I was
This
look
is-
at Meredith. Meredith looks great.
You know, I think this is probably one of the fattest photos I've ever seen of you.
When is
And
this from?
I'm-
Can we get
What is
a
it from?
time-
I don't know. Probably
from
what it's
Aruba.
from. Yeah,
I was
I
in
was just gonna
Aruba.
say. I was gonna say Aruba.
It's,
like, year.
It's
Can we
my
get a
wife's
year?
favorite place.
Can we
What?
get a year? What
a year?
was-
This was probably 2015 or 16.
Okay, had you gone to? When was the last time you went to camp?
Like 2014.
So you have already you've aged out of camp effectively.
He's been through the program.
Yeah, you did the program, and this is the result. You see that?
You know,
But look at that smile. That is a happy guy.
You know what? I alluded to this earlier. I gained 100 pounds in college. You know, I discovered beer and pizza.
When were you in college? Because it feels like it was last
You
week.
discovered beer and pizza in college.
That's bullshit, but we all know that. But okay, like just glaze over it. We already know that. When were you in college? Because this is 2015.
I graduated in 2015.
Okay, so this was the end of college.
Yes.
You had already gained this 100 pounds that we're
Yes,
talking about. Okay,
yes.
the freshman,
Usually it's 15.
Sophomore,
Usually it's 15.
senior, super senior,
Usually
100
it's,
pounds.
Usually it's freshman 15, but in my case it was like the freshman 50.
Oh, so half of them came in your
Yeah,
freshman year.
yeah.
Were you and Meredith together freshman year?
No, we were not.
So was some of this like sobbing over
it
like
was
Oreos?
a little bit. I'm a little emotional.
You are the heart and soul of this relationship, I think.
I am.
And so I can completely see you. I'm putting him so on the spot here, but painting a picture, I feel like I could see you sobbing over like
big
Rocky
picture, man.
Road. You
know,
know, like sobbing over a rocky road.
That's a canvas
and,
right there. You see that? You can paint on.
I'm not a big ice cream guy, to be honest.
Really? Not a big
Nah,
ice cream
I'm more
No, he's a-
savory than sweet.
He's a cake guy.
No, more
Oh.
savory.
Oh, just like the pretzel M&Ms I just ate?
I'm more like mozzarella sticks, pizza, wings,
So like you were
sushi,
getting
a roast beef, a chicken,
Get
a
a
pizza.
sushi on
SpongeBob
top of
thing.
pizza.
Dairy Queen,
so-
a Dairy Queen.
Long John Silver's in a Dairy Queen.
A Dairy Queen.
A Dairy Queen. A Long John Silver's in a Dairy Queen. Should we do the whole song just for old time's sakes? McDonald's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut, a Pizza Hut, a Pizza Hut. Oh, Long John Silver's in a Pizza Hut.
Oh, I remember.
Dairy Queen, a Dairy Queen. Long John Silver's in a Dairy Queen.
So just imagine him doing, do that whole song and dance like that.
I went to camp with him. I don't need to imagine.
I
I
know.
saw him do crazier shit. I'm gonna finish my Take Your Post story. So, painting the picture again. Upstairs, candy machines. Downstairs, regular world. We weren't allowed to go to the candy machines. I, being the smart person I am, enlisted somebody else to go to the candy machines. Gave him money. He would go get Twizzlers and other stuff, and then we would
It's a
sell
little fat
them.
snack.
Yeah, and then we would sell them one Twizzler at a time.
How much do you charge per Twizzler?
A lot.
Like how much is a lot? Like $5?
Probably something
Were
around
they
that.
extra long or just standard?
No,
size?
they were the candy machine
Oh my
size.
God,
Like
so they were small.
yeah.
Like 6 inches.
yeah, something like
Wow,
that.
not like a regular standard.
So
Twizzler.
so we did that for like 2 weeks.
Make any money?
I vaguely remember making money. Yes, And
Enough
then-
to buy a standard Snickers?
probably.
That's
And then I
Because I think those vending machines are overpriced.
no, they were back then. They weren't. But
It was also the 90s.
yeah, it was the 90s. We're riding high on the Clinton years, and so, I decided to get out of it. I was like, I can't keep doing this. I was
You got out of the
literally-
game?
I was Michael Corleone. I was like, I was like, get me out of this. And all of a sudden, 4 days later, Shmoney's like next door neighbor, who was the kid who was doing it with me,
Ratted you out?
gets caught. Does not rat me out. I don't get ratted out. I'm ratting myself out now. And he got sent home.
Wow.
He grew up with the owner. Like, it was crazy.
It's really crazy to be looking back and thinking about these memories and how nostalgic it is. And for people who have never been to fat camp, just to hear these sort of controversial stories that happen within camp, they were it was, there's a lot to it. And that's part of what we're trying to do with this podcast is talk about the funny, nostalgic times at fat camp and just tell these stories so that people can really start taking, lose my train of thought here.
Destigmatize it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I like the
Yes.
assist. You got it.
And these were the best summers of our lives. So I think keeping these stories alive, is really amazing. Because if you look back and you look in today's fat camp world, I think there's only one fat camp that's still in existence.
I have no idea.
So,
I don't keep up on that.
AJ, we want to thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast tonight.
You got it.
What?
It just like it was just
Stop. So, AJ, we really want to thank you for being a guest on the podcast. It's been so great catching up and seeing you and seeing how you've grown. And you look great, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That we can talk about that another time. But
Great. We're not going to make you get on the scale.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I came prepared. I've been working hard at it.
You look great.
that
You
could
look
be,
great.
that could be a
But
segment.
I guess before we sign off and say
This guy with the
goodbye,
ideas.
I think before we sign off and say goodbye, I think we really want to ask you, what was your most memorable moment from fat camp that you want to leave our viewers with?
So it's not really a moment as much as like I resented camp at times growing up, and I didn't feel I was overweight enough for the camp.
I
Like,
felt like you were XL, not double XL.
yeah, or when I was little. When I was little, I felt like I was not like.
You were never little.
I mean, like when I was the first couple of years, I didn't feel like I was as overweight as the other kids that
Right.
were there. And what I did learn from being at fat camp was my confidence got much better, and to the point where like my oh my god, Bobby used to say something. Oh
Be
my
your best with Bobby.
no, but there was something. There's no
Fan,
there's
not
something.
your critic.
Yeah,
Be
something
your
like
biggest
that.
fan, not your critic.
Yeah, kind of. It was kind of
Tyler,
like that.
that was
So
that.
no, but I didn't have Bobby. That's the thing. So like, I learned that just being at camp originally.
I think it's in the air. at
Yeah,
camp. It really
and so
is.
like I had almost like an unearned confidence at one point in my life that I still carry with me at times, even though I live like neurotically. But
Neurotically?
yeah,
Yeah, and that's so.
neurotic.
Oh,
I think
Erotic,
that stands
okay.
true for all of us. You know, I think there's a piece of camp that really lives deep inside of all of us.
Yeah, and it helps. So like I
It
feel like
does.
the one thing I would take from that is like it really helped me realize that I wasn't the only one.
Right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in on this great episode of the podcast. If you are a fat camper or you want to learn more about fat camp, please, and you have an amazing story, please reach out to the Fat Camp Podcast at gmail.com. We look forward to hearing your stories. And if you want to be a guest, we would love to see you. Stay hungry, my friends.
One last thing. Can you make more food?